Hey guys, so there's a lot of talk about masculinity in today's world, particularly in the self-help world, the manosphere. There's a lot of guys out there trying to figure out how to be more masculine or what masculinity even is. So what I want to do in this video is take a shot at explaining that. And I want to offer what I think is a new, different view of what most people think of as masculinity. So stick around, I'm gonna build up to it. But before I get started, make sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel if you're new, and don't forget to sign up to our email list. We've got a lot of great content coming out right now, and I don't want you to miss it. So most of the advice out there being offered as a solution to masculinity is actually only offering what I would call the effects of masculinity, the expression of masculinity, things to do that are sort of masculine, but they're not really getting to what the fundamental essence of what masculinity actually is. So most of the advice is telling you do X, Y, and Z. So you have to go out and build a business, or you have to control your emotions, or you have to win women, or you have to be the alpha in the room. None of these really get to the psychological fundamental of what's going on in your mind when you're being masculine. And the consequence of that is you get these, male leaders telling you, you just need to get your ass to work and sit down and force yourself to build a business, or you need to stand straight with your shoulders back. And if you were to ask why, they'll just say, oh, well, because that's just what you have to do to get through life. It's just this grog. You just have to force yourself to do these things no matter what. And Amazon is filled with all of these guides on how to build up your masculinity, on how to be a better man. And they're all promising, masculine success, masculine flourishing, a good life. And if that's the case, then why aren't they working? Why are men still looking for answers? We're gonna break away from all tradition here, start fresh, and let's just look at what a man is and figure out what masculinity is from scratch. So I'm really excited to talk about this. So we're at the beginning of my hike here. Let's get up to the mine. We're going up to the mine. Actually, there's two mines on this trail. So let's get up to the mines and let's dive into this because there's a lot to talk about. So come along. All right, so we made it up to the first mine, and now we want to go over what is sexuality? Where does that come from? What is the nature of our sexual differences between men and women? Well, sexuality is primarily a psychological phenomena. It's a way of viewing oneself in relation to one's own body and one's own sex. What's important to remember here is that it's not any particular action or feature of a person that makes up their sexuality. Those are all just expressions of it. The fundamental is that it primarily lies in your own psychology, the way you're thinking about yourself. So all conscious creatures have to come to understand the body they were born into. I mean, like a fish has to learn how to, shake its fins, and a bird has to learn how to use its wings. Well, a man, humans have to learn how to use the body that they're in. We have arms, we have legs, we function in a certain way. We can't fly, we can't, breathe underwater. There's a certain nature to our body that we have to respect, and that has a bearing on our psychology. It has a bearing on how we're thinking about ourselves and our existence in this world. And more specifically, the male and the female body are different. And those differences, the nuance in those differences, is what gives rise to sexuality in the first place. So because we have different bodies, we have different psychologies, we have different ways of coming at things. And so that's where sexuality comes from. It's the way we're thinking about our own sex and our own body. Now in this video, I'm primarily focusing on the male body. I'm not gonna talk a lot about femininity or the female body or anything like that. I just want to stick to men. So what is the nature of the male body? Well, the male body is built to conquer nature. We're bigger and stronger, our muscles grow faster, our bodies metabolize energy quicker so that we can go get things done. We actually retain more iron in our blood so that we can get wounded when we're out doing things. Our brains are sort of wired because of this towards problem solving. A lot of men have an interest in tools and machines and engineering and how things work and how things function. What all this adds up to is that we're built to be taking action in the world, which is what I mean by we're built to conquer nature. Now, what about sex? Well, sexually, in the sexual act, The male is the prime mover. It's the man who has to penetrate the woman, and it's the woman who is penetrated. The man has the more dominant and active role because of that. He has a greater control over his own pleasure and the pleasure of his partner. And it's the man who has to choose his partner, and it's the woman who has to surrender to him. So if the man doesn't choose, there is no sexual act happening. And if the woman doesn't surrender, then it's rape, and that's not masculine. But there is a sense in which the man is conquering the woman, in the sense that he has to win her over. She has to desire him and then choose to surrender to him. And so again, the meaning of this, psychologically, spiritually, physically, is that the man is conquering the woman. He has to win her desire for him, and she has to surrender to him. So that's the nature of our sexual roles. So the nature of our body and the nature of our sexual role combine and add up to what we would call our psychological sense of our own sexuality, which is what I'm calling masculinity. So how would we sum up and define masculinity? Well, that's what I'm going to get to once we get to the end of the hike. So let's head up to the next mine and let's get some answers. I feel like I can't make a video about masculinity without at least having a beer in the video. All right, so we made it up here to the second mine. The ruins are behind me here. It's super fucking awesome. A man is built to conquer nature. He's built to go out and get shit done. He's built to conquer women in the way we talked about, not in the pillaging and raping sense, but in the sense that he needs to win her. And in order to do all of that, he has to conquer himself. You know, he has to have self-control, he has to have self-discipline. He needs to be the manager of his life. So the psychological consequence of this, and fundamentally and essentially, the definition of masculinity is the desire of a man to go out and conquer life. To go out into the world and get things done and tackle life, to win a woman worthy of him. The essence of it all is that a masculine man wants to be masculine, meaning that he wants to get out there and use his body. He wants to put in the effort to succeed. He wants to get out there and impress women and dig holes and build stuff. He wants to do things, conquer the world. This is what his body is telling him to do psychologically. That's what's going on. So what does this lead to? What are some of the physical expressions of masculinity? Well, one, efficaciousness. Getting out in the world, tackling life, having a passion that you have set as your purpose, and getting out there and doing it, going out and doing something that you love. This is the key. It has to be something that you're super excited about. Two, independence, not depending on others to take care of you, but, you know, having your own job, taking care of your own shit. And particularly in regard to independence, thinking for yourself, not outsourcing your thinking to someone else and letting them do the thinking for you. Actually thinking for yourself and asking, is this true about all the stuff that you're encountering in life? And so a derivative of that is decisiveness. Decisiveness is knowing what you want, having thought about it, having figured it out, having been independent, and then deciding to go do it. And this applies to romantic relationships as well. Being the leader, being the initiator in the romantic relationship. That doesn't mean ignoring your partner's wishes, it just means you taking the lead, often, and in the sense that it's coloring the relationship. So those, I think, are three really big derivatives of masculinity. Some smaller derivatives, I think, that come out of this psychology are taking care of your appearance, you know, making sure that you're dressed nice, that your hair looks good, you look presentable. I mean, part of this is that you want to impress women, right? So you need to take care of how you look. Another is staying fit, taking care of your physical health, staying in shape. Your body is the vessel that you're in here on earth, and you want to make sure that that's something that you're taking care of. You want it to last a long time. Another derivative is financial responsibility. Make sure that you're taking care of your finances properly. So all of these are expressions of masculinity. They're physical expressions of that psychology, that desire to want to get out and go conquer life. You know, I think about the miners that came up here, God, over 100 years ago, and just how masculine they must have been to have the independence to decide to come out here and seek gold and silver and live up here in these mountains and bring all this equipment up there. I mean, just the sheer willpower. I mean, to survive the elements. I mean, it's just such a hard life out here, but they chose to come out here and conquer this mountain. And I just think that's so fucking cool. Like, fuck. Probably in a separate video, I'll go over a bunch of different examples of masculinity and kind of compare them to the popular views of masculinity that exist in our culture today. I think that would be really helpful. So if you like that idea, thumbs up in the comments. So takeaways. Why did I say that this is like a new, unique view of masculinity? It seems like some of the stuff I'm talking about is pretty typical of the masculine view. What I think is unique about this view of masculinity is that you want to be a man. You're not forcing yourself to do it. You're not bearing this load of responsibility or whatever. It's something that you want to do. It's something that you want to enjoy. You want to go out and be a man. You know, a masculine man wants to be a man. He's not forcing himself. He's not suppressing it. He's not being the stoic. He's not being humble. He's going out and living his life. And that's the most important part here. And this is light years away from the whole duty view of masculinity that exists in our culture, where you have to force yourself to go sit down and get your ass to work and do the Bedros thing or the Peterson thing, where you have to bear your suffering and be a man, and that's what and then die suffering. You know, like, that's just such a horrible way to go through life. The way to go through life is to enjoy it, to enjoy being a man, and that's what makes a masculine man so irresistible, is his desire to do it. So again, essence of masculinity, the desire to go out and conquer life. And this is just the beginning. We're gonna make a whole lot more videos on this topic, so stay tuned, subscribe, you don't wanna miss out. Thank you for watching. Cheers.